Spending, it just doesn't stop. The tap for welfare and other federal aid programs hitting $1 trillion a year. The Cato economist Dan Mitchell, who says this type of federal spending is getting pretty dangerous. You know, Dan, I think it may be a lot more than just pretty dangerous at this point.
In the long run, we are on a trajectory to become a European welfare state, and if we look at what's happening in Greece and Italy and France and other countries, obviously we don't want that to happen if we care about not only the economic vitality of the country, but sort of the moral fabric, the spirit of self-reliance, the work ethic, independence from the state. These are all things we definitely need to be concerned about.
But here's the thing. You just used the term moral fabric. Others on the other side of the ideological aisle, if you will, would say what's moral is letting people, 2 to 2.5 million people, not work, not have the hassle of working a job they don't work, maybe selecting the jobs they do want to work, having a great family life. What's moral is getting 47 million people on food stamps to help them make ends meet. That's really the moral objective of this nation, or at least that's what it should be. What would you say to someone like that?
I suppose it's a fantasy world. I mean, let's think about it this way. Imagine that just by snapping your fingers, we could have riches float down from heaven, and none of us would ever have to work. Well, if you didn't snap your fingers, that might be immoral. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we all just sort of sat there strumming our guitars in a nice Garden of Eden situation? But in the real world, you can't redistribute unless somebody first produces something. And the problem with the welfare state, as you lure more and more people into dependency, as you trap them in long-term intergenerational poverty, if you don't have enough people pulling the wagon, well, guess what? That wagon is going to bog down. And what I said earlier in the interview about what's happened in Greece and Italy, this is my concern. Our aging population, the demographics of the country, the growing welfare state, these are things that, no, we're not going to go belly up within the next 5 years, but 25 years from now, if we don't begin to change course, if we don't begin to decentralize the welfare state back with a spirit of federalism, if we don't begin to change our unsustainable entitlement programs, I'm going to be very worried about what my 3 children are going to have, because I know this has been a great country for me.
You know, Dan, a lot of people say we're at that inflection point. You kind of inferred it, and some said that number is 47%, people paying federal taxes. As that number begins to decrease, this danger zone that we talk about becomes even more dangerous. Can you pinpoint a number? 40% of people paying federal taxes, 30%, where there's the point of no return?
I don't know that there's a magic tipping point, because I really do think it's more about the culture, the social capital of a country. I mean, there are lots of older Americans, 70 years old, they're living on Social Security, and they might not be paying any tax. But they're on Social Security because the government forced them to be in the program. They had no choice. They don't see themselves as part of the dependent class, and it doesn't affect their voting behavior.
Right.
They don't favor big government. On the other hand, you could be a very rich person, but you're rich because you're a crony capitalist benefiting from different government favor handouts. Right. And you're probably paying a lot of tax, but the whole reason you're getting $1 million of salary is because government has its thumb on the scale. So it's not a number in my mind, or if there is a number, I'm not smart enough to figure it out. It's the attitude in the heads of the American people. Do they view the state as a racket to enrich themselves rather than something in the background that enables us to prosper?
So the welfare state becoming the overarching welfare mentality, that more or less is the tipping point. Dan, you were fantastic. Yes. We appreciate it. Talk to you real soon.
Thank you.